You know what time it is. Let's go! Yo, banging on the beat, breaking the concrete, defeating demons on a daily basis, glowing radiance, raising the consciousness to the most high status, lumen lyrical brightness, supreme natural intelligence. There's no coincidence that I'm rocking, feeding the knowledge to the masses. Vets and youth always speak the fire of truth, wisdom. Life is about growth or development, so build your light for the tests in life. Never give up, never let up. That's what's up. You know what time it is, so push forward, elevate your mind in the sun and rise.
Yeah, check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimal, mathematical root radicals. So we see this, I mean this, the fire of truth. From the sheer might, the fire of truth. Preach, teach, the fire of truth.
Just levitate, levitate, keep your head straight. Just levitate, levitate. Even if the world is so cold, we just levitate, levitate. Set these lies.
Barak Shalom, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to another Live Blaze broadcast brought to you by your brother, your solar sovereign son, the Radiant One, Supreme Natural Intelligence, Intelligenes, Intelligenetics. As always, we are continuing the construction build upon the high science of Melanin Science, Part 7. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom. What's poppin', my brother Jacob Levi? Barak Shalom. Anyways, let's get right to the matter at hand. You know what time it is. This is a topic that is rarely spoken about because they don't want you to know this high science. This is one of the things that they don't want you to know about. 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And melanin is the embodiment of the totality of the truth because it has the carbon element, which is the bonding element, the unifying element that brings things together in unity. Like, share, subscribe, fire blaze up the notifications to get this information out to the masses, so the masses could wake up, so we could do what? United we stand stronger, together we rise higher. So let's get right to the matter at hand. Let's get right to the next book. We're going to moving on to the next book, focusing on neuromelanin today. It's time to get in tune and have a relationship with your internal library, as you see, the original organic library. So let's go right into it. So let me share the screen. It's time to brainwash your mind clean. Clean up your mind. Unlearn the ignorance you have learned. You must. Clean out your body. It's time to eat right, so you can think right, so you can know right, so you can live right. When you learn, you earn, you know, you grow. That's how you must flow in life. So today we're moving on to this book, Why Darkness Matters. This book is going to be focusing on neuromelanin. So the melanin that's inside of you. It's good. We're going to be discussing the science on that in this book. So let's get right to it. This book's called Why Darkness Matters: The Power of Melanin in the Brain, also the central nervous system. Okay, we're gonna start here briefly because this is important. This is a reminder. Repetition is the mother and father of learning and skills. So get the skills instilled in every cell, neuron pathway, dendrites, synapses within your whole body. So it becomes second nature. Your synapses, your axons, your dendrites, they all must be ignited in supreme intelligence. So as neuromelanin, as melanin in general, it's demonstrated, neuromelanin is demonstrated photoactive and semiconductive properties, as we discussed before through the previous 6 videos. Melanin, even neuromelanin, is photoactive, meaning that it interacts with light. Photon is a scientific term for light. And activity is movement. So melanin communicates with photons. It's active with light, and it's semiconductive, meaning that it allows electromagnetism to move. It allows light to move. It allows sound to move. Melanin organizes the vibrations and frequencies, and then it transmutes it to different forms, as I said before. So neuromelanin is demonstrated has photoactive and semiconductive properties, and also certain, so the emphasis here, photoactive, semiconductive. This is one of the authors that contributed to this book, Dr. Richard D. King. Given that melanin and neuromelanin is black, partially means that it absorbs light or photons. As I said, photons is a scientific term for light, same thing, and converts it to other energy states. As I've told you before, the other energy states that melanin is able to convert or transmute is what? It uses light, it uses sound, electricity, magnetism, and thermal heat. That's what it's talking about. It's able to convert to other energy states. Identifying it as a form of energy, conductivity, and bioluminosity. So this is telling you that the body is made of light. The bioluminosity is telling you the body deals with light. We know that every cell in our body has a power plant in it called mitochondria. Mitochondria produces the energy in the body. What does mitochondria use in the body? ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The triple phosphate, we looked at the etymology of the phosphorus element, and what did it tell us? When you break down the phos, for us, light bringer, the bringing forth of light. When we go to bioluminosity, Illuminati, right? Everybody likes to think that Illuminati is shady and think that they're dark. You don't understand. You have to understand this. Illuminati means to shine the light from within, to shine knowledge within. Light is synonymous with knowledge and wisdom, intelligence, information. You got to shine light within and allow the light to shine outside of you so other people can see in the darkness. So you want to make your body more bioluminous. That's what it's all about. That's what melanin allows you to do, because melanin absorbs light, sound, electricity, magnetism, and thermal heat, and it's able to transmute, and convert these things, these elements, these forces, for whatever purpose the body needs it for. It uses it for animation and motility, mentally and physically. And as it says, melanin uses the energy conductivity and bioluminosity that surely interacts with consciousness. So as I said before, melanin is the fundamental core of consciousness. Melanin is directly connected to the blackness. Blackness is the source of all things. The infinite potential, the infinite dimension that holds the potential of all dimensions, all parallel realities that are manifest through the projection, the reflection, the deflection and refraction of the white light projection. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom, my brothers and sisters. So white light makes the potential that's in the blackness, the infinite potential that's in the blackness. White light projects it out that potential. We're living one of those potentials, one of those realities that we're living right now. There's many different variation realities, and that's why there's so many different universes. Those are different realities, different possibilities that are being manifest, that we're not living in those galaxies. We're only living in a specific Milky Way galaxy right now. But there's many galaxies, millions upon millions of galaxies. And the universe is ever expanding. Consciousness is always ever expanding. Consciousness is synonymous with melanin. Because as it says, melanin is basically the control panel of consciousness. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom. Melanin is the control panel of consciousness because it's the potential of all things, the bonding element.
What? Slow motion this side.
Melanin is the control panel to consciousness. You've already learned that melanin is the intelligence of the whole body. The body cannot function without melanin. None of the systems can function. All the hormones in the body is centered around melanin. If you don't have enough melanin in you, you're not going to be able to receive the full instructions from the sun. The reason. Rays from the sun is reason, the real sun. When you see the rays coming from the sun, those are different instructions that you're receiving through the different light color spectrums. If you lack the ability to absorb this light, interface and connect with this light, you won't be able to understand the full communication. You're only going to hear a partition, a fragment of information. That's why it's important that you get yourself in tune with the elements. Melanin is essential for this process. Your body will not be able to function properly if it's not able to receive the proper instructions. So melanin is responsible for the energy conductivity and the bioluminosity that surely interacts with consciousness. We ask, how does consciousness interact with or it is implicated in the neural dynamics of the neuromelanin and neurogenesis, the building of neurons. Genesis is the making of, the creation of, or the growth of new neural cells. We wondered how the inner warm, dark matter of neuromelanin was related in any way to other outer, cold, dark melanin of the cosmos. Essentially, how is it that dark information processing brain is interpreting a dark and perhaps in some ways conscious cosmos? You have to keep in mind, I have to remind you again, blackness is the unity of all color spectrums. So when you're looking in the blackness, you may see it as nothing, because you have to remember that your eyes have a limitation. It can only see less than 1% of the electromagnetic scale. The rainbow that we see, Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, is less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Those are the primary colors that we perceive, and by mixing those colors, we could see different shades of those colors in this projection of the white light reality that we live in, called the holographic world. So you have to keep in mind, blackness is the unity of all potentials that can be possible in reality. It's so vast and so dynamic, and it's so eternal. It's infinity. How can a limited body comprehend infinity? That's why we see blackness. That alone should tell you the importance why blackness is essential, as this book says, why blackness matters. The more that you could see in the blackness, the more intelligence you'll be able to access, the more information you'll be able to access from God, or the Mighty One, the Supreme Most High. So let's move on to some of the solid information here. Alright, here's the introduction. Some of this is going to be repetition for you, but they're saying it in a different way. So hopefully this will remind you to take notes and do further research. So introduction. Melanin is the general term used to describe pigment in humans, or the color in humans. In humans, pigments comes in various colors that are found inside as well as outside of the human body. This topic has been presented by scholars in numerous fields of study to provide a unique perspective of melanin functioning in humans. For example, the study of melanin is in chemistry, biology, physics, psychology, and neuroscience are areas of study that have contributed to our understanding of the role of significance of melanin in the nervous system. Yet you don't hear the teachers say melanin when they're talking about these subjects, because we know because we live in a racist society. They want to hide information. They make you think that melanin is only a skin pigmentation to protect you from the sun. But yet, when we're talking about chemistry, chemi means black. The history means the study of blackness. Biology is a study of your body, the systems and functions and operations of how your cells work in your body. Physics, the study of physical forces. Psychology, the study of how the mind works, how the mind thinks, how the mind operates. Neuroscience, the study of brain cells that are responsible for communication and intelligence. All of this is talking about melanin, but they all use words and hide the information in code. You think these are all separate, but they're all one in reality. So as it says, scholars in numerous fields of study provide a unique perspective of melanin functioning in humans. For example, chemistry, biology, physics, psychology, and neuroscience are areas of study that contributed to our understanding of the role and significance of melanin in the nervous system. This includes quantum physics. This includes all of it. All the science. All has to deal with melanin. So in this part, the origin, location, biosynthesis, the combining of chemicals in your body, biosynthesis, and advantages of neuromelanin functioning will be explored. A mystery unveiled. Melanin is mystery, or my story. Melanin is within you, because it is a pigment associated with blackness. In this race-conscious society, we know that the Europeans are ruling society, so they're regulating all the information. How come they're not telling you about melanin? They barely talk about melanin, yet they're talking about melanin in your face, but they're not using melanin. In this race-conscious society, issues related to a blackness can be lightning rod for controversy. And it's very controversial to Europeans because they don't want to give credit to black folks and let them know their potential greatness. They want to focus on themselves and just hide things in code. They're using melanin to create all these technologies, but they don't want to give any black folks credit. They hide all the information in code. That's why they're saying this. In this race-conscious society, issues related to a blackness can be a lightning rod for controversy. And it's going to be controversial to a lot of people who've been educated in the system, who don't even realize they've been studying melanin. On one hand, the area of melanin research has been neglected because of the politics of scientific research. Yep, scientific racism. This is why you shouldn't take science word, because they're being biased and racist and prejudiced when it comes to certain information. They keep things hidden, but we're in the age of Aquarius. The things that were hidden in the darkness that that very few people can see, the masses are going to be able to more actively see this now, and they're not going to be talking stupid anymore, saying, "Oh, blackness is just helps you protect from the sun alone." That's all it does. No, it doesn't. Life itself is centered around blackness, or melanin, which is a black compound, a black polymer. The universe is mostly black. So what are you talking about? Since much of the experimental research has been conducted by non-black scientists, and they've been very choosy with their words to try to hide this information that they talk about melanin. That's why a lot of people don't realize they've been studying melanin. They said melanin isn't really anything other than a pigment to protect you from the sun, when it's far more than that. Far more dynamic and diverse than that. It is this author's opinion that an objective perspective of this area of research has been neglected. Exactly. Objective is looking at the complete cipher of truth. Subjective is dealing with pieces of truth. That's what the society is dealing with, pieces of truth. Objectivity is looking at the totality of information within the cipher of life. Subjectivity is dealing with your personal view, perception, and perspective, which is only a potential piece of truth. Only a potential piece of truth. Opinion is not necessarily true at all. It can be potentially true, but it's only a piece. You got to look at this with unbiased, unracist eyes. You got to see the truth in nature, the truth in life itself. Life exists because of the carbon molecule. Bonding element. Carbon is black and brown. There's no getting around that. Life is not made up of whiteness. Whiteness does not bring everything together. Whiteness actually divides everything. That's the reality of it. Whiteness projects and makes everything distinct. That's why when you have a flashlight and you're in a dark room, you can't see nothing. Nothing can be distinguished when you're in pitch triple blackness. As soon as you get the white light, all of a sudden you see the potential of all the things that are around you. Because white light puts the division, the separation, the individuality amongst things. It allows you to see what's hidden. That's what the white light does, because it makes everything individual, everything unique, separated. Everything is in oneness when it's in blackness. That's where you cannot perceive it. As soon as you bring the white light in, it's going to make everything individual, unique. So now you're hearing the mystery of Melanin Unveiled. This is the 7th part. If some of you that are in the Fire True Sanctuary, you got to go back to the 1 to 6, because there's a lot of powerful information being revealed that you need to embrace, and you need to do your further research. You're doing yourself a disservice by not listening and taking notes and understanding, standing this information. Because life is about growth and development. Life is about building your light up. How do you build your light? Upgrade your melanin, get darker, get some melanin. Build your melanin inside and build your melanin outside. Life is about growth development, meaning to build your light, your bioluminosity, your auric field, your photo-auric field, in other words. You're here to be more photo, hydro, electromagnetic. So the area of melanin research has been neglected because of the politics of scientific research. In other words, the politics is what? Poly, many, ticks, tricks. Many tricks to hide information from you. Because when we're dealing with this scientific information, you learn a lot, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind that it's very racist, biased, and deceptive in how it's giving you the information. Because they hide information in code. Since much of the experimental research has been conducted by non-black scientists, it is the author's opinion that an objective perspective of this area of research has been neglected. On the other hand, if African-centered scientists explore the area of melanin research with provocative intellectual questions, then they may be labeled as reversed, racist, or pseudoscientists, which a lot of the black doctors who talk about melanin are. The white scientists say, "Oh, you're racist. You're looking down. You're doing the same thing as the KKK. No, that's not what they're doing. They're telling you the truth. There's a reason why black folks, on average, has a greater physical ability than every other race. There's a reason why black folks develop and mature faster than every other race on the planet. Melanin. That has nothing to do with being racist or looking down on anybody. It's just the fact. It's just what it is. So the important thing here, everybody in general, not just African-centered, because there is already a lot of African teachers and doctors that are talking about this. African-American, so-called, that foolish terminology. Because we might as well call the white people European American. How come we never hear that? Caucasian American, how come we never hear that? When it comes to black people, we want to say African American. But when a white person is there, we just call them American. No. If we're going to use the African American, we're going to use that European American on your ass. So the mystery of melanin functioning has been revealed, and we can no longer view it as a waste product in the nervous system. Just like they say DNA, there's like a lot of the DNA has waste, false information, deception. The DNA that they call waste is the potential of greater things in your evolution that hasn't been unlocked yet. Did you hear me? The so-called waste that's in your DNA, or that they used to say that melanin was just a waste product, a pigment, is the potential of your evolution that is contained within there. It all depends how you activate it. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom.
What? Slow motion this side.
What's poppin', Jason Kim? Why do Westerners gossip about people? All people gossip about people. So it's not just Westerners. I'm not sure you're referring to, Jason Kim. All people gossip. It's not just not exclusive to Westerners. All people gossip. However, that's irrelevant to the conversation, Jason Kim. Focus on this information. I don't know what that has to do about anything. So the mystery of melanin functioning has been revealed, and we can no longer view it as a waste product in a nervous system. Remember that the nervous system is your sensory system. Your hair is an extension of your nervous system. So it is it's a part of your 5 plus senses. It's part of the plus senses of your 5 senses. This allows you to extend your senses, your hair. It's an antenna. Be reminded. That's why you have hair on your head. You have hair. It's an antenna. It's an extension of your senses, extension of your nervous system to feel your environment, the electromagnetic pressures, the feelings in your environment from people, places, and things. This is all built with neural melanin. Melanin in general, minerals, vitamins. In 1975, Clark, McGee, Nobles, and Weems wrote a classic article and presented a very clear and concise analysis of melanin and the central nervous system, CNS. It is known that our CNS, central nervous system, performs a critical information processing role which is essential for optimal neurological and metabolic functioning. Let that sink in. Be marinated, be seasoned in spice in that truth. So your ability, your capacity to have thoughts, consciousness, and thinking, neurological, the ability to communicate is not going to be existing without melanin. Your body's ability to process, filter, and transmute energy is centered around melanin. That's why you have metabolic function in your body. Melanin controls that. What is metabolics? Metabolic is dealing with catabolic, anabolic, scientific terminology, anabolic, building up, catabolic, breaking down. Anabolic is used to what? Build your body up. Building muscle, building tissues, healing, revitalization, rejuvenation, renewing of the body's tissues and cells. Catabolic is usually used for breaking down materials and extracting it for energy purposes or resource material purposes for building the body up. Anabolic is building up, catabolic breaking down to extract certain resources that the body needs, whether it's to build the body up for anabolic processes, for anabolism processes, or energy metabolism processes for your body's mental animation and motivity as well as physical movement, in other words. So it could do work in life. For your motivation. It's all about movement. Life is movement. Animation, motivity, motivation. It's all about movement. That's the whole point of this. Consciousness is movement of intellectual thought. There is a high positive correlation between specific levels of sensory activity and states of pigmentation that has been examined by neurophysiological neurochemical, and neural humoral data. These authors were led to believe that melanin refines the CNS, central nervous system, and in so doing produces, generates, creates a highly sensitized sensory motor network. And I want to add in your cellular intelligence network. Sheesh. Sheesh. That's truth blazing, facts blazing, facts being manufactured in a factory. You know what time it is.
What? Slow motion this side.
There is a high positive correlation between specific levels of sensory activity and states of pigmentation that has been examined by neurophysiological, neurochemical, and neurohormonal data. These authors were led to believe that melanin refines the central nervous system and in so doing produces, generates, creates a highly sensitized sensory motor network. And what is part of that motor network? Sensitivity of your environment, your hair, your physical senses. The internal communication, central nervous system, or the cellular intelligence network that I like to call it, in which your cells communicate with one another to perform movement, as it says here. Sensory motor network. According to Clark et al., the original race was African. The people of African descent exhibit the largest quantity of melanin. The authors make a connection between melanin and CNS, central nervous system, functioning by stating that a major portion of empirical research conducted in Africa, in African psychology, involves a systematic examination of the relationship between melanocytes and the nerve cells of the CNS. As we will discuss in the next section, both are embryologically derived from a single neuroblast in the neural crest of the development of human fetus. You should be looking up these terminologies to get more detail in your own time. Neuroblast, take notes, look these up for yourself if you don't know these are. Look them up. The origin of neuromelanin. Cells in the skin that produce, synthesize, and secrete melanin are called melanocytes. So melanin cells. Melanocytes, which are found in the basal cell layer and between cells of the epidermis, which is referring to the skin, have dynamics function because they can change as a result of direct physical stimulation or from the normal aging process. In contrast, pigmented neurons in the nervous system are not commonly named melanocytes because they are less dynamic and more static. Neuromelanin is found in the cytoplasm of pigmented neurons. So you should be taking notes to find out what cytoplasm is. I'm sure most of you know what neurons are. Pigment is this color. So when you're doing your study and research, if you don't understand the terminology, you simply take it, you copy it, and you find out what it is. You don't want to move past stuff without understanding it. See, now it shows you what it is. That's basically the fluid in a cell. These are organelles. These things are the organs in the cell called organelles. Cytoplasm. We know that plasma is fluid. Is the gelatinous liquid that fills the inside of a cell. It is composed of water, salts, and various organic molecules, which is plasma. The combination is plasma. When it's in a gel form of a liquid gel, that's plasma. Sometimes intracellular organelles, which you see, the cells have organs as above, so below. Just like you have organs in a large state, at a micro state, when you look at a cellular level, they have organs as well, called organelles. So some intracellular organelles, such as nucleus and mitochondria, power plant of the cell, are enclosed by membranes that separate them from the cytoplasm. So neuromelanin is found in the cytoplasm of the pigmented neurons. And the presence of neuromelanin is less subject to change. The amount of neuromelanin in the nervous system is determined by genetics. What do I tell you? Intelligence, intel within your genes and genetics. There's a reason why I say that. You don't hear people breaking stuff down like that. Everything is about your genetic strength. When I say hygienics, I'm talking about higher genes and genetics that you must unlock from your waste DNA, right? That is deactivated. Scientists say, oh, waste DNA. No. You got to turn it on. Your waste DNA, what did I tell you? That's just the potential of your evolution, your elevation. You got to turn on that dormant DNA or the genes within that DNA that could become active. Remember the movie Lucy? When Lucy, that pale European woman, had that melanin drug implanted in her. I can't remember what they called the drug, but it's essentially a type of melanin drug to enhance your physical ability and your intelligence. And at the end of the movie, what happened to her? She turned pitch black, and she essentially became a god. She was able to see everything, that's all the potential in the blackness. Go manipulate all of reality, all dimensions at the end of the movie. She went from extreme pale white, European Caucasian, to a pitch black, triple stay black being. That's why it's important that you must unlock your supreme intelligence, your supreme natural intelligence. You're focusing too much on artificial intelligence. The amount of neuromelanin is in the nervous system is determined by genetics. Intel within your genes' genetics. So the information inside your genetics is master key. You got to turn it on. You got to activate it. You got to tune it. You got to calibrate it. It is quite... And how do you calibrate it? The sun. You need to be in that sun from day, dusk till dawn. Sunrise, sunfall. And then even during the fall, you must get the moonlight energy, the dark energy as well from the nighttime. It's not just about the daylight. You meet the daylight energies, the daylight intelligence. You must get the dark light intelligence as well. What does it say here? Three things cannot be long hidden. You need the sun. You need the moon in order to receive the truth. Everybody talking about sunbathing, this and that, but are you outside in the nighttime as well? Are you moon gazing? Are you getting in tune with the black environment when it's dark outside? Because you're only doing half of what you're supposed to be doing. Even when people know this information that you need to get sunlight, they don't get enough sunlight. They still don't get enough. So are you getting dark time? Because it has to be balanced. If you don't get these things, you're not going to receive the supreme intelligence, the truth. The amount of neuromelanin in the nervous system is determined by genetics, intelligence. It is quite clear that the amount of external melanin varies between ethnic groups. However, it is considerably more difficult to measure ethnic variations in the stable nature of internal melanin. As I told you, external melanin is not a reflection of your internal melanin. You can't base a person's external melanin on the amount of internal melanin. So it doesn't always correlate equally. It's not always a one-to-one thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It really depends on your genetic strength, as I said. Although the term static or stable is used here, it is not implied that neuromelanin levels can never change in an individual. So it tells you right here, everybody's capable of increasing the neuromelanin content. Even the physical melanin content can be increased. Physical melanin content is simply getting more sunlight, UVB to be more specific, getting more specific nutrients in. Aromatic amino acid, tyrosine, the primary one that is responsible for helping to manufacture melanin. Tyrosine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, they're all responsible, but mainly tyrosine. Selenium, copper, iron, zinc, carbon. That's why it's important that you consume dark fruits and vegetables. It's gonna amplify, magnify, and enhance your body's ability to make melanin, or to expand your neuromelanin and external melanin. Which is complemented primarily through first-hand source, sunlight, nighttime energy, moonlight. For example, so although the term static or stable is used here, it is not implied that neuromelanin levels can never change in an individual. For example, deterioration of neuromelanin containing brain cells can be caused by drugs, chemicals, or other normal aging processes. So you got to be careful with the drugs you consume, the foods you consume, because you're destroying it. The alcohol you're drinking, you're destroying your neuromelanin ability. That's why you go crazy when you get drunk. You lack intelligence when you're drunk. You're acting weird and funky. Same thing when you're smoking up. You're acting funny. You're not necessarily building your neuromelanin content. There's too many people abusing these things and they think that they're getting to higher consciousness, but they're really deteriorating their cells at the end of the day. They're using the plant to raise the consciousness, when in fact you should have a higher consciousness than a plant. If you need a plant to raise your consciousness, that just shows you how low your conscious level is. Let that be marinated in that. You should be sharing information with the plant, not allowing a plant to be your master teacher. You're superior to a plant in a lot of ways. If a plant raises your consciousness, that just shows how disconnected you are. A plant should only be used as a tool to make you better, to make you see things that you couldn't perceive before. You're not supposed to be using it as a crutch. For example, deterioration of neuromelanin containing brain cells can be caused by drugs, chemicals, or normal aging process. The primary role for melanin in the skin is to protect against ultraviolet radiation, which I don't like using protect. It's more accurate to say that regulates energy is to be more accurate. Organizes energy. Assuming ultraviolet radiation does not penetrate the brain, neuromelanin in the nervous system and melanin in the skin have a slightly different functional roles. So to go back, I've said this before. They always like to say protect, but it really regulates energy at a higher efficient level than a paler person. The reason why paler people have less regulation. So they let I gave you an analogy before of an airport. If you have less melanin, you're more risk in receiving a terrorist attack in your body. What is a terrorist attack in the airport of your body? Someone's going to take a bomb and blow you up. It means you're going to get scorched. If you have melanin, you have more security, checking everything out, organizing everything. You got scanners watching everything. That's what melanin does. It regulates and organizes energy in its category and uses it for its specific purpose. When you lack melanin, when you lack the ability to interface with the sun, that means you have less regulations, less security guards, less filters. Therefore, you're gonna be more susceptible to being damaged in some way. But however, let's continue. It says the primary role of melanin in the skin is to protect against ultraviolet radiation. Assuming ultraviolet radiation does not penetrate the brain, neuromelanin in the nervous system, and melanin in the skin have slightly different functional roles. Obviously, the skin is responsible for photovoltaism. In other words, taking light photons, converting it into electromagnetism for mental and physical animation and motility to perform work, whether it's for intellectual work or physical work. That's what the external melanin is for. So, say it another way, this is why blacks on average have higher athletic ability, because they have photovoltaic attributes and abilities. If you're able to take in more light rays and convert it to electromagnetism, if you're able to raise your electromagnetism, your performance is going to go up higher. So the real Superman and Superwoman on the planet, when they're in their proper healthy state, they're the real Superman and Superwoman on the planet when they're in the proper healthy state. Simply because they're able to take in more dynamics of the electromagnetic spectrum. to boost their athletic ability. And the same thing applies with neuromelanin. Neuromelanin is more focused on intellectual ability. So in contrast, an analysis of the origin of internal and external melanin can demonstrate the commonality between the two forms of melanin. Developmental embryology. As I've said, the black race grows and matures faster than other races because of melanin. During fertilization, a zygote forms and it divides into 3 distinct germ layers: the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. So the first layer, middle layer, and inner layer. That's what it's talking about with the endoderm, the mesoderm, and ectoderm. The understanding the important role of melanin during the early stages of embryonic development, because our skins have layers. So that's what those scientific terminologies are talking about. The first layer, the middle layer, and the deepest layer in. To understand the important role of melanin during the early stages of embryonic development, we are interested in the derivatives of the outer embryonic layer, the ectoderm. So the outer layer is called the ectoderm. I'm sure this terminology reminds you of what? The ectomorph, the mesomorph, and the endomorph. Ectomorph is referring to the lean body type, mesomorph is the muscular body type, and the endomorph is more of the beefy, fat body type. And the skin ectos are referring to first layer, middle layer, and the last layer. Ectoderm is composed of 3 regions: the prospective neural tube, the prospective neural crest, and the prospective epidermis. It is within these 3 regions that melanin plays. It's the first key role in maintaining life. Did you catch that? Oh, melanin just protects you from skin. It's the first key role in maintaining life. Be marinated, be seasoned, be spiced with that. So you won't be able to exist if you don't have melanin. And when you lack melanin, you're in a state of curse, a state of disease, in other words. You have health ailments when you lack melanin. In the midst, and just because you have melanin, that doesn't mean it's activated and working. So it goes both ways. Just because you think you have melanin, don't mean it's working. Because if you're living a lifestyle that doesn't feed your melanin, it's like you have no melanin. It's almost like you have no melanin at all. But generally speaking, if you lack melanin, you lack life. In the midst of this embryological darkness, an explosive Big Bang will occur that will transform the tiny mass of cells into a complex human being. Each region of the ectoderm is further differentiated into specialized body parts. The neural tube is differentiated into the following parts: the brain, the posterior, the pituitary gland, the optic vesicles, the spinal cord, and the motor nerves that originate in the ventral portion of the neural tube and innervate muscles. The neural crest derivatives consist of cells that that migrate to distinct parts of the body. These migrating cells form sensory nerves and ganglia which receive impulses, information, from the following sites: sense organs, B, atomic ganglia, the adrenal medulla, D, all of the pigment retinal cells, which are derived from the neural tube, the cartilages, C, the voice box of the head, and F, some of the ectoderm muscles. The epidermal layer can be divided into cells derived from the epidermal thickenings, and those derived from the rest of the epidermis. The thick epidermal derivatives include some of the cranial nerves, the lens of the eye, the olfactory structures, and the inner ear, and the taste buds. The remainder of the epidermis forms the following structures: the outer layer of the skin, the hair, and the nails, the linings of the mouth and anus, and D, the anterior pituitary gland. Remember that the pituitary gland is a alleged chief gland that produces melanin stimulating hormone. Melanin is in numerous locations in the body, and the importance of neuromelanin in brain tissue will be discussed in detail by Brown in Chapter 2. For this section, the reader should be aware of neuromelanin's role during embryogenesis. Neuromelanin and embryogenesis. Melanin and neuromelanin are part of the sensory motor network, or, and I like to say, cellular intelligence network, from the earliest stages of embryogenesis. So the making of your sons and stars, your seed, your offsprings. As mentioned in the previous section, the brain and the spinal cord are formed from neural tube. The sensory motor network extends from the neural crest, and melanocytes in the skin come from the epidermis layer. Each site is dependent on the presence of melanin for proper physiological functioning. Be marinated, be seasoned and spiced in that. Each site is dependent on the presence of melanin for proper physiological functioning.
What? Slow motion this side.
So why weren't you told this in school? You never heard nothing about melanin being the fundamental core and centerpiece to physiological functioning, your ability to physiologically function properly. How come you didn't talk about this? You don't start learning this until you get to what? University level of discussion. But this is the fundamental core of biology itself, but how come they never mention this? Hiding this, they hide it in code, like I told you. Because there's a prejudiced society, a racist society, so they're not going to tell you direct what's going on. Each site is dependent on the presence of melanin for proper physiological functioning. So what happens when you lack melanin? You're going to lack the ability to function, mentally and physically. When a person has mental issues, they're lacking melanin. When people have physical issues, it's lacking melanin. When a person's always getting sick, they're lacking melanin. Because we know that the immune system, main part of it is melanin. The blackness captures invaders, swallows it up and ejects it. Yet they want to talk to you about parasites in your body called white blood cells. the vampire defense system in the body. Each site is dependent on the presence of melanin for proper physiological functioning. Since our sensory apparatus is so vital to learning, melanin gives you ability to learn. The faster you learn means more melanin is in you. The more information you're able to hold, that means you got more melanin in you. This is focused on neuromelanin, not external melanin. This is focused on neuromelanin now. I've been telling you through this past 6 that neuromelanin is responsible for intelligence, to make it simple in general. If you're not getting the proper hormones in your body, hormones, in other words, is instructions, or in other words, is intelligence. You lack in melanin, how are you going to get the full instructions so your body can function properly? Since our sensory apparatus is so vital to learning, it begins to develop in the uterus within a couple of months after conception. Nerves appear 3 weeks after the egg is fertilized and immediately begins to link up with other nerves. Cellular intelligence network. Unity is being formed. United we stand stronger, together we rise higher. That's what you're hearing right now. It's about unity. Cells uniting in communication, in connection, interface, relationship is being developed to form a complete organism. Micro, macro, as above, so below, as within, so without. The law of correspondence. That's why unity is so powerful. Organizations is so powerful. Partnerships is powerful. Division leads to defeat. It leads you to the precipice of your defeat. Let that sink in, be marinated, and be seasoned and spiced in that fire of truth.
What? Slow motion this side.
I'm going to finish this last few paragraphs, and then we're going to get, if there's any questions, we're going to get to that. So let me just finish this last few questions, and then we'll save the rest for another time. So get your questions ready. Whoever's watching, get your questions ready. So nerves appear 3 weeks after the egg is fertilized and immediately begin to link up. United we stand stronger. So they begin to link up with other nerves. Before birth, we learn about gravity. Gravity is essentially the interplay of electromagnetism, repelling and attracting. It's funny that we got to this part because I think Jason Kim saying I feel lonely. What can I do to pry or attract others? I'll get to your question when I finish. We learn about gravity through our vestibular system, and our body becomes a fine-tuned sensory receptor for collecting information. What does the military do? Collect information. That's intelligence. During embryogenesis, which is the making of the being, the human being in this specificness here, our sensory motor system shapes our experience, and we are shaped by the events that occur in utero. So it's telling you the sensory motor system shapes your experience. If you want to sense your environment better, what do you think this is for? What do you think melanin is for? It's more than just a so-called protection. Your hair is more than just aesthetics. Our sensory motor system shapes our experience, and we are shaped by the events that occur. So what is experience inferring? Wisdom. You gain knowledge in your environment, and that gives you experience from your interaction with your environment. That leads to wisdom. The human embryo develops out of a womb of darkness, as all things develop in darkness. The seed is in the darkness of the soil, buried in the soil. It grows in darkness. And there is no sunlight available to stimulate the production of the melanin inside the fetus or on the external surface of the fetus. All sources of melanin migrate to their destination sites by chemical factors, such as neurotrophins. Neurotrophins expressed in targets can promote survival of neurons whose cell bodies are distant ganglia. Experimental research has shown that extirpations and explanation of the neural crest have revealed that it is the sole source of all pigment cells of the body, except those which differentiate in the retina and are therefore derived from the optic cup. If portions of neural crest are removed, body parts will be missing and pigmentation would be absent. Be marinated, be seasoned in spice in that fire of truth. Truth blazing, facts be manufactured in the factory. On the other hand, grafting tissue from the neural crest on the embryo can increase pigmented cells. In some, the aggregation of heavily melanized cells forms the grossly visible black pigmentation in the developing embryo. Melanin and neurotrophic factors move into the folds of the neural groove and appear to bring the folds of the neural tube together to form the brain and the spinal cord. The formation of the neural crest helps to fuse the neural folds, and the nervous system begins to take form and shape. Sensory enhancement. The nervous system is derived into the CNS and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, peripheral. The brain and the spinal cord are the main components of CNS, central nervous system, and the PNS is further divided into the atomic and somatic nervous system. The processing of sensory information occurs at every aspect of the nervous system. Part of the nervous system. So why are you cutting your hair so low? The brain and spinal cord are the main components of the CNS, and the PNS is further divided in autonomic and the somatic nervous system. The processing of sensory information occurs at every aspect of the nervous system, and the presence of melanin can influence both the development of the nervous system. Let that sink in, be marinated, be seasoned and spiced in that fire of truth. The presence of melanin can influence both the development of the nervous system as well as how the brain cells integrate sensory information, or in other words, intelligence, within our other physiological systems. For example, the migration of cells to make the melanocytes in the skin shed light on the connection between the skin as an extension of the nervous system. So if the skin is the extension of the nervous system, your hair is also an extension of the skin to further extend your reach of sensory perception. Sheesh.
What? Slow motion this side.
Sheesh. Meow. That's powerful, man. Sheesh. The processing of sensory information or intelligence occurs at every aspect of the nervous system. And the presence of melanin can influence both the development of the nervous system as well as how brain cells integrate, come together, unite. United we stand stronger, together we rise higher. Processing of the sensory information occurs in every aspect of the nervous system, and the presence of melanin can influence both the development of the nervous system as well as how the brain cells integrate sensory information intelligence with other physiological systems. For example, the migration of cells to make the melanocytes in the skin shed light on the connection. Shed light, shed knowledge. Sheesh. On the connection between the skin as an extension of the nervous system. The melanocytes are multi-dendritic cells derived from the neural crest. Dendrites. Multi-dendric. So it has roots, feelers, crests that look very similar to the structure of nerve cells in the brain, neuron pathways. Illustrates a comparison of two cell types. Neurons in the brain and melanocytes in the skin have the same embryological origin. And previous work, Moore 2002, has presented experimental evidence to support the hypothetical role of skin as a large brain. I think Bruce Lipton teaches that the membrane of a cell is the brain of the cell. But now you're beginning to learn something new. Your skin is another brain. That's what it seems like it's inferring here. So neurons in the brain and melanocytes in the skin have the same embryological origin, and previous work has presented experimental evidence to support the hypothetical role of the skin as a large brain. So a lot of you are putting a bunch of toxins and pollutants on your skin. In other words, on your brain. So you wonder why you have a foggy mind? You wonder why you can't think straight? You can't focus? What are you rubbing on your skin all the time? Shampoo, soaps full of chemicals that is diluting your intelligence? You wonder why you can't think? What do you put on your skin? What are you touching with your skin? You're in manufacturing facilities. You're in car. You're working on a car. All those different fluids and chemicals on your skin. You wonder why you can't think? Now you know. Take care of your skin. Put some gloves on. Don't touch things that are not meant for your skin. Let that sink in, be marinated and seasoned and spiced in that fire of truth. Neurons in the brain and melanocytes in the skin have the embryological origin, and the previous work has presented experimental evidence to support the hypothetical role of the skin as a large brain. In addition, glia are the other major components of the nervous system. And the morphology of the glial cells are very similar to melanocytes. So now that you know that the skin can be considered the largest brain in the body because it has the most surface area, what do you think this is? This comes out beneath your skin and extends out from your skin. So your intelligence is being limited because you cut your hair. More facts being demonstrated. Because your skin wants to extend its reach further beyond just this. So it makes hair come out. Your brain wants to extend its reach in an environment. So the brain has more hair than any other part of the body and extends its reach. Your primary brain here. Be seasoned, be marinated, seasoned and spiced in that fire of truth. Truth blazing, facts being manufactured in a factory. So why is the culture telling you to cut your hair? Because they want you to be a slave, that's why. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want to reduce your capacity to think. They want you to be an employee as subject. That's why they tell you cut your hair. Oh, you want to be professional? You want to work for me? Cut your hair. Groom yourself up. Because they want you to make you a slave, a subject. And this is what it looks like. You see what a melanocyte looks like. These are the dendrites of a melanocyte. The feelers, the roots. This is the neuron here. Axon, the large root here. Dendrites are these. It's like the branches of a tree. This looks like a tree. You see the connection. This looks like trees and plants. All the plants and trees are within you, so why would you need an outside plant to raise your consciousness when you have your internal trees already? The trees you see outside of you is just a projection that is within you. That's why everything inside of you looks like everything outside of you. All the microorganisms that are living on your skin and within you is a reflection of all of us that is living on this earth. Animal life, insect life, all of it is the same that is inside of us. That is knowledge of self, knowledge of your cells, your cellular intelligence network. Your cellular intelligence network is you, and you make partnerships, you make organizations, you make friends with other microorganisms that are living on and within you. And it forms the totality of the temple of your earth that your body is, the universe that your body is, depending on how much you zoom in and zoom out to get the perspective of you looking like an earth or looking like a universe. Be marinated, be seasoned, and let that sink in with the spices. Sheesh.
What? Slow motion this side.
That's the fire of truth, and nothing but the whole, living, unified truth. My brothers and sisters, awaken your mind and get your behind back to the organic internet mainframe of Almighty Nature, which is the collective consciousness, the unified field of the divine, the great vine derived from the vine in which you get your true information, knowledge, of wisdom, and intelligence from. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom. I am Natural Nathan, natural giver, natural provider, spitting lava, saliva, lava for the Most High, aka also known as Supreme Natural Intelligence. Listen to reason, real sun, rays from the sun, and listen to wisdom. So question and answer, then we put this to a close, if there's any relevance. So you gotta rise from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, brothers and sisters. 3 things that cannot long be hidden: the sun, the moon, which is the truth. The high science of melanin is being unveiled in absolute detail. So there's no longer any excuses, any more foolish talk on this matter. You're being heard here exclusive. Fiber and facts, truth blazing, facts blazing, facts being manufactured in a factory. In layman's terms, common sense for the average person to comprehend. High science made simple for you to comprehend, to equal stand. I like to say equal stand. High science is made for you to equal stand. So you better apply it proactively in live dynamic radical action. Jason Kim, I feel lonely. What can I do to pry or attract others? You gotta find people. You gotta actively find people that think like you, Jason Kim, that have similar interests to you, Jason Kim. And it's not easy to find people that are gonna be able to relate with you. It's not easy. There's no 100%. You just have to seek. You just have to communicate with people and find out where people's mind is at to see if you could work with them, if you could be friends with them. You have to actively communicate with others. That's the only way to find out and to learn how to unite. You got to talk with people. You can't unite with people if you don't talk with them and find out where the mind is at. Develop a relationship. That's what this relationships are all about. Find those who have similar interests to you, who think similar to you. No one is going to agree on everything, but find people that you're going to have similar interests in, that you have similar interests in. Find people like that you could relate with. Find people. You have to actively do this. It doesn't just come to you. You have to go talk with people. Unless you have that type of spirit that just draws people automatically and people are attracted to you. But obviously, you're saying you're looking for people, so you have to go actively do that. There's no other way around it. There's no simple answer. You just have to go communicate. That's how you find people that you could relate with. I see you, Light Sparks. What's poppin'? Play your beats another time, man. I don't want to put this to a close. Another time. When I do, I'm probably gonna do an alchemy project. Continue with the alchemy project, Lab Blaze. I don't know. I might play it then. Joe Galo, what's poppin'? What is your concept about the afterlife? In terms of the immortality, is there a way for the consciousness that is right now present in this puny human garbage body? Why God let us in this situation? To learn. Learn and grow. Start from the bottom, rise to the top. You're here to experience different perspectives in life. That's the purpose. You are a partition of God. You're a fragment of God, living your view, your perspective. You're here to experience. You're here to overcome. You're here to challenge yourself. That's what life is. Life is about growth and development. It's about experiencing new things. That's the whole point in life. Life is about growth and development. The point is you're put in a limited body to overcome your limits. Life is supposed to be challenging. Life is about growth and development. Overcome your 7 deadly sins. Overcome your debilitations, demons, and weaknesses. That's what life is about. Raising your consciousness. Widening your point of view. Living the truth. The 7 principles of righteousness. Which is truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, propriety. 7 deadly sins are what? Sloth, which is laziness, lust, greed, gluttony, wrath, envy, pride. Those are the 7 primal sins of humanity that you must overcome. And you must rise to the 7 principles of righteousness, which I just said, which is the Ma'at principles, the equilibrium principles, the balance principles, the homeostasis principles, proactive balance, in other words. So, general life is about growth and development. So you're here to grow and develop, to learn something. You're here to overcome your limits. Whatever you believe you can or cannot do, you are right. Whatever limit you put on yourself, that's only as far as you could go. So you got to expand your consciousness. Life is about growth and development. So build your light for the tests in life. Never give up. Never let up. That's what's up. So push forward on the sun and rise. Push forward, look upon the sun and rise. Lightspark says, I think our purpose here in the physical body is to experience immortality. Joe Gala says, what is God? Who is God? Can we see God? Or is it just mixed false and truth perceptions? How do we know if he is real? How can we invoke this God or this entity, non-human being existence? To start with your first question, what is God? God is simply, when you actually break down its definition in its etymology, God is simply a mighty one, a power, a higher existence. Anybody can be a god. A king can be considered a god because they're ruling their environment. They're just a small god, a lowercase god. When you look at the term God, it's simply one who controls their environment. That's what a god is. One who controls their environment. That's a mighty one. That's power. Who is God? You are God. You're a fragment partition of God in their lower state of existence through a specific partition in life, a specific partition or fragment in the cipher of the totality of life. God is the totality of all of life. Did you hear me? The Supreme Most High God is the totality of all of life, of Almighty nature. The universe, the earth, the planets, sun, moon, stars, all of the energies in the universe, all of it in totality is God combined. When God chose to separate themselves, when God chose to separate the fragments of his body to experience different things, that's what you're seeing. We are all pieces of God, partitions of God, fragments of God, experiencing life through different perceptions and perspectives. Life is about growth and development. We are here to what? Return back to God, which is what? Unity. United we stand stronger. Together we rise higher. Because God is complete unity of everything. Good, evil, everything. God is everything. In fragmentations, in dualities, separation, a polarity separation. God is all of it. God is male and female. Let that sink in, be marinated. God is the totality of life itself. The Most High God I'm referring to when they're in a complete, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipresent state. When God is in division, this is the result of it. When God divides amongst himself, cellular division, which is us, the animals, the insects, that's God in cellular division. Sheesh. It's gonna go it's gonna go over people's heads, but that's what it is. I'm supreme natural intelligence. I'm telling you, that's what it is. God is the totality of life in unity. When God chose to run an experiment to experience different ways of life in a limited formation, that's what this is. Your fragment, your partition of God. Experiencing your way of life in your duality, your polarity, whatever you're living at. You're experiencing whatever you're experiencing because God wanted to experience that. Just as God wanted to experience the other side of duality. Male form, feminine form. And sometimes fusion form. Where you're seeing all these people coming out, transgender, all this stuff going on with all the mixing of all forms God is experiencing. It's all God. However, at the end of the day, God wants you to get back to righteousness. At the end of the day, growth and development, the highest form is truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, propriety. That's the goal. Get back to that state. You get back to the supreme godhood. And you raise your consciousness to other levels as you progress. Don't get caught up in religions of the different variations of stories of religion. Don't get caught up in that. Just absorb what is useful, discard, cut, and throw what is not, and make that valuable and useful thing uniquely your own. Learn the morals and principles from it. Learn from the errors and mistakes that those people in the stories did. Don't repeat it. You do better than them. That's the purpose of those different stories. Whatever religion you're talking about. You're supposed to be doing the good things they've been doing and not repeat the bad things they've been doing. Learn from your history or our story. That's the only purpose of it. Don't be caught up in fighting petty matters of what religion this and no. Just learn from each one and take what is useful and valuable and apply it to your life to make yourself better. You're supposed to be doing better than the previous generations. That's what it's about. Life is about growth and development. Don't worry about petty things, fighting over stories and all that stuff. Don't worry about that. No one could verify if that's true because no one has seen it. All you could do is take the wisdom and knowledge out of there, make it useful and valuable, apply it to your life now, and make yourself better. Do what they done that was good, and you do better. Don't repeat the mistakes that they have done. That's what life is. Take the knowledge and take it to a higher level. Another part of the question, how can you invoke the God or the entity, non-human being? You invoke it by your communication, by you taking action. God is in you. God, the power is in you. The 7 principles of the universe. Mind, mentalism. That controls reality is your mind. That is the attribute of the Most High God. And the attribute of the Most High God is within you. You have a mind, you have a consciousness to run your life, to run your world. Mind over matters makes you the master. When your mind is subjected to the matters, that leads to disaster. Always say that. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom. Mr. Wang, what's poppin'? Are you related, or do you know who Linda Lu, that older one that walks in the morning, or unexpected walking in the neighborhood where you reside? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Mr. Wang. I don't know who Linda is, and I don't know what you were talking about. Here we go again with Light Sparks. Talking about wasting of the sexual fluids again. This guy, man. What about constant releasing of seminal fluids? This guy.
What is that?
Light Sparks, you know what time it is by now, man. You know that when you waste your abuse and waste your seminal fluids, you know what happens. You drain your life gauge away. That includes your intelligence, that includes your physical ability when you abuse it. So you gotta learn to regulate your seeds, your reproductive power. Unless you like to age and get old quick. So I should have Light Sparks on so you could teach about that. Light Sparks should be teaching about preserving the seed, man. There's Light Sparks.
Yeah.
It's like I have many videos discussing the detrimental effects when you masturbate and waste your seed. I have lots of videos on that. I think I have like, what, 5 or 6 of them, 7? Going in detail regarding that. You go check it out on the channel. Supreme Natural Intelligence. Secondary channel, the Fire Truth S.N.I. Social media platforms above. Where the pyramid of power is. Alright, my brothers and sisters, we're putting this to a conclusion. Awaken your mind and get your behind back to organic, get to the made frame of Almighty Nature, which is the collective consciousness, the unified field of the divine, the great vine, derived from the vine on which you get your true information, knowledge, wisdom, and intelligence from. Brothers and sisters, stay sitting at the edge of your seats for more lab blazing that's going to be going through. I think we're going to be doing an alchemy project first, because a lot of people have to learn how to focus their mind. They got to be a master of their mind. They got to stop being a subject, a slave of disaster. They got to master the mind. That's what alchemy project's all about. Mastering your mind. Developing self-control, self-discipline, self-esteem. It's about getting in the zone state, the flow state. We're going to be doing an alchemy project. So look out for that, and then we're going to be continuing with the melanin science. The high science of melanin going on part 8. Continuing on the science of neuromelanin and importance it has on your central nervous system. So enjoy. This is the solution. Power picture presentation has been going the whole time. Solutions all day, every day, all night, all the time. Above me. I'm also speaking, teaching, physically, and teaching's here. I don't even have to say nothing. This is teaching. This is teaching. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your night. Holistic true peace, true power, and true elevation. Enjoy.
Check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimal of mathematical root radicals. So we see this, I mean this, the fire of truth. From the sheer might, the fire of truth. Preach, teach, the fire of truth.
Just levitate, levitate. Keep your head straight. Just levitate, levitate. Even if the world is so cold, we just levitate, levitate. Shed these lies.
Balance is key, foundation you see, harmony we see, nature we free, spirit we agree, preach and teach, the flock we reach, peace we feast, Ecclesiastics 3, Barak Shalom hour, inner peace power, reason in season, there's meaning in beacon and wisdom we season, peace to the most high, the most high, 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 peace to the most high, the most high.